Okay. Hi, I'm Amanda Lee Sparks Hat, and we're trying this again. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Put a comment if you can, please. My headset microphone seemed to be not working. Sad face. Okay, so this new series that I've got going on here is all about self-knowledge. Can you hear me now? Thank you, Lori. Something's definitely wrong with my old headset. So we're just going with the webcam mic right now. Yay! All right, so self-knowledge for me is a really important topic in personal development and becoming a conscious creator. As I found when I know why I do the things that I do, and I find that those patterns of energy blueprints are kind of set up in like my numerology or my astrology birth chart, I found it easier to then accept those parts of me instead of resisting them so hard because I didn't like them so much. And when we start to accept things, is how we change things. Hey, Allison and Maya. Yay, everybody's back. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you can hear me now. So when we accept things about us that we don't like, then we can release all that resistance we're spending on resisting them, and that's the first step into changing them. Hi, Chanel. Woohoo! Yay! Thanks so much for joining me live, you guys. So for me, growing up particularly, I have some extreme perfectionist patterns. And when I was growing up, especially through my teenager years, if something didn't go according to my plan, it would really freak me out, and I'd be super uncomfortable and anxious for a long time. And I would start obsessing over how I could plan better and how to do things better. I didn't really realize that you can't plan everything. So when I learned that in both my numerology of my life path and in my astrology, I have these perfectionist tendencies. So they're like double, it's more. This helped me to realize, okay, this is just a part of me. It's not actually kind of who I am, and I can learn to alter these parts of me and accept them some more. Because otherwise I was just thinking oh, that's just me. I'm just this weird perfectionist type. And yes, that's part of me and I can fall into that, but it's also something I can be aware of and make different choices of now. So that's why I find self-knowledge so important. And numerology, which is our topic for this one today, is basically where you take numbers, and you add them together to make singles digits. And there's, like all of personality things, there's multiple layers, and you can go super deep with this. So that's way out of the scope of this little video. We're going to work on life path, and if it doesn't take too long, we're definitely going to go into name numerology as well. So, the one thing I really want to make very clear in this is it's not like once you find out what your numerology is, this is like your life. This is the thing controlling your life. I look at it as here are some energetic blueprints of patterns of energy that I will fall into when I'm not consciously creating my life and thinking good thoughts most of the day, 51% of the time. Okay? So to calculate your life path, you simply need your birth date, month, day, and year. And I like to use a calculator myself because I find math in my head, there's some weird twisty path that goes down and it comes out as a different number than a calculator. So whatever works well for you. So you want to take your birth month. Hey, Rochelle, thanks for joining me. As an example, mine is January. So January is month number 1. And then you add that to the day. Mine is the 23rd. So 1 plus 2 plus 3, kind of like this, if you can see that. And then you add the individual numbers of your year of birth. Plus 1, plus 9, plus 8, plus 0. So you end up with a line of numbers, whoops, that way, kind of more like that. And then, so that makes sense. So 1 is the month, January, 23rd is my birthday, and then that's my birth year. If that makes sense. So then you just add those into a calculator. And I think pretty much all phones have a calculator app now. I'll just pull mine up. So then I go 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8, and 0 is not going to make any difference. So then I end up with, adding all those numbers together, I end up with a 2-digit number of 24. So you want to write that down. And then you want to take this 2-digit number you got from adding all of these numbers, and you want to make that into a single digit. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Make sense? So 6 is my single digit number, which means 6 is my life path number. So if you got any questions or any part of that was unclear, let me know. If you are able to calculate your single digit life path number now, let me know what it is, because each one means different things. We're looking for it to get a number between 1 and 9 usually. There are kind of 2 exceptions in numerology. There are 2 numbers that are like uber special numbers, and they are 11 and 22. But other than that, we're pretty much getting everything down to a single number. Oh, comments. Lori's also a 6. And we got a 1 and an 8 and a 3. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So I will go through briefly a lot of the numbers and what they mean, and then we can go a little bit deeper. The one thing I do want to add, though, when you're looking at your life path number, most people, some numerology books look at the whole number. So like they would want to know that I'm a 24-6, because that's a little bit of a different vibration than I think it's an 18-6 or whatever other kind of 6s there are, because multiple numbers go to make 6. So in brief, the numbers 1 to 9. Carrie Ann Barron just joined. How do you do that? So Carrie Ann, you take your birth date, month, and year, and you add them all up to make a single digit. So it's January 23rd, and then my birth year, which turns into 24, and then 2 plus 4 is 6, so I'm life path 6. And I was talking behind that thing the whole time. I hope you could hear that. Oh my goodness. I'm used to having my mic right here. So now that you've got your single digit life path number, I'm just going to go briefly through them. A 1 is life path the leader. 2 is life path mediator. 3, the communicator. 4, the teacher. 5, freedom seeker. 6, the nurturer. 7 is the seeker. 8 is the powerhouse. And 9 is the humanitarian. So that's the kind of base underlying things of each life path. We'll go into deeper ones for you guys who are on here. But once you've got your single digit number, you can always Google life path 6 or life path 8 and see there's tons of websites of information of people who have different insights and what they all mean. So we got a 1 on here, Michelle. Okay, so the thing about the energies of the numbers is they all have like in alignment positive qualities and out of alignment more negative qualities. So you want to look at those for your life path, which we'll go through for you guys who are live here, and see just to become aware. So for 1, life path the leader, when you're in alignment, you're innovative and energetic, very original thinker, a leader, determined, inspired, courageous. These are all kind of positive qualities of the 1 vibration. And out of alignment is like very narcissistic, very self-important, intolerant or insecure and helpless, kind of victimized, lacking self-respect and esteem. And kind of as a 1, you're here to act upon your like creative ideas and to be a leader. And it's all about believing in yourself, not what other people think you should be doing. Then like dive in with gusto and like just do your thing that you know and you feel is the thing for you to do. Oh, it's not scrolling. 3, 3, 6, 9. Humanitarian. Does that surprise? No, does not surprise me at all, Carrie Ann. Okay, so that was a 1. And we got a 3. I've got a couple of 3s. Okay, cool. So 2 is the mediator. I'm not going to go too deep into that because no one here will take too long. So life path 3 is the communicator. In alignment, positive qualities, expressive, artistic, creative, communicative, joyful, witty, optimistic, intelligent, those types of things. And out of alignment tends to be superficial, emotionally like volatile, prone to exaggeration, self-doting, inarticulate, kind of depressed, insincere, inappropriate. And as a 3, You might feel like kind of like everyone can do what you do because you just find it so easy. But 3 is a really creative number, and not everybody can be as creative as you are. The trick is to develop the nerve and the like confidence in it to go and make it as part of your living. Chanel got an 11. Cool. We'll get into that. So, what else do we have here? We've got a, I think 6 is the next one. 4 is the teacher. 5 is the freedom seeker. And 6, we got a bunch of 6s, the nurturer. I'm also a 6, so. The nurturer in alignment qualities like family-oriented, romantic, responsible, kind of creative as well, supportive, devoted, loving, sensible. Out of alignment qualities, perfectionist, critical, idealistic to a fault, kind of self-righteous, maybe a little bit meddling, or irresponsible, indulgent, kind of self-absorbed, and non-committal. So as 6, we're big picture people. Ultimately, we're kind of meant to be our own boss. We really don't like being told what to do. And it's important to just be aware of that. And if you happen to you need to be told what to do, because you currently have a boss that's not you, just be aware that when you get told what to do and you're like, fuck you, that you can calm that down and make a different choice. Do we get any 7s? No, 7s is the seeker. And we all have different aspects of this because it's not just your life path. There's other parts of your name and other things that are part of it too. We did have an 8. I think there was an 8 in there somewhere. Allie's an 8. So 8 is the powerhouse. And in alignment, they are financially abundant. They are authoritative. They're powerful and they're in control. They're influential and they're very giving and generous. 8 is kind of like the money number. Most people know about 8 that way. Out of alignment, they tend to be very egotistical, controlling, opinionated, sometimes a little too materialistic, forceful, could be a bully, very rebellious, or the other side of that is the passive, victimized, powerless, insecure, fear of financial success, and blaming. So as an 8, you're destined to make a big splash in the world with money and power, control, and authority. What you really need to come to terms with is inside yourself, because I think 8s have one of the hardest paths because they're constantly bashing against financial things and stuff like that until they really accept it and embody it, and then they have the easiest path because they have all the money stuff coming to them. Was there a 9? Didn't see a 9. 9 is the humanitarian. The other thing to know is in numerology, it's always about the 1 to 9, and it's a cycle. We start at 1, we go through 9. So 1's always the beginning of the cycle, and 9 is the end of the cycle. What was 3? 3 is the communicator. So life path 3 is the communicator. And where is it in my notes here? Oh, there we are. Number 3 is expressive. Oh yeah, communicator and the creative. Very expressive, optimal, witty, and learning to really use your creativity in your life. Not alignment yet. It happens, and we come in and out of alignment of different qualities based on so many factors and things in our lives. The cool thing about numerology is you can take it and use it for the year and each month. So September is a 9 month, so it's kind of a closing of old cycles and starting new ones. 2018, I meant to check when I got, but it's 9, and so it's an 11 year. And when you end up with 11, I'm going to get to you on that, Chanel. 11 is a special number because it's both, I think they call them master numbers. So it's you're embodying both the 1 and the 2, because 1 plus 1 is 2 in the 11. And I don't know a whole lot more about the master numbers other than it's important to take it as its whole. 11 is all very much about the 1 energy, amplified, big leader, back into 1 leader, and energetic, determined, out there to get the stuff. And then the 1 plus 1 is 2, so you also have to get that embodiment of the 2 energy, which is the mediator. sensitive, intuitive, supportive, detail-oriented, cooperative, diplomatic, and then out of alignment 2 is resentful, narrow-minded, childish, manipulative, or self-centered, dependent, and overly sensitive. 2s it's all about for 2s to feel loved and that your contributions that you make are respected and valued. They're very giving, and they blossom when their talents are used for the greater good of a group. And it's not recommended that you have too much work where you're solo, but there's so many other factors. It's kind of like astrology that way. So, so it's interesting to know the numerology of the year. So being as that we're in a 11 or 2 year, oh my god, that derailed. My example was, if you know the energy of the year, then you can know if you're kind of going with the energy of the year or if you're going against the energy of the year. Like you're trying to swim upstream, which it's not saying don't go swimming upstream. If that's where you're going, that's where you're going, and you can create whatever you want to create. But to know that you will be swimming against like the global kind of energies. And if you know that, then you can be more prepared for it. That's the biggest thing there. So that's life path. Yes, leader. So name numerology is very, very similar in that we again go, let me erase my board. You want to, if you've got, can write this down. To figure this out, you want to write down your name with lots of space. Because each letter corresponds to a number of 1 to 9. Oh, this thing is running out. Hopefully the black works. Good, good, good. So if you write your name out with big, huge letters, that way, my big, long name, as it were, then you want to write the corresponding numbers. And if you just Google number chart, numerology chart, one comes up, but like A is 1, and then B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, F is 6, G 7, H 8, I 9, and then we circle back to 1 with J and keep going. And I find it easy if I've just got one up in front of me. So A is 1, M is 4, A is 1, N is 5, D is 4, and A is 1, and then L is 3, E is 5, and 5. So then come back to my little window here. So then you end up with like this. And then you want to again add all those numbers. But you also want to take note of what numbers you have, because they will, 1 is pretty much always means 1. So life path 1 and similar energies of leader and determined and out there and go get it type of thing. So in my name, I have a lot of A's, I have a lot of 1s. And I have 4, and 4 is very much about the structure energy, and 5 and 3. I have 3 5s and 3 1s. So that means I have a lot of leader energy in my name, and a lot of, what is 5? 5 is the freedom seeker, freedom loving, adventurous, fearless, resilient, agent of change. It's hilarious. Flexible, fun. And then out of alignment, indulgent, excessive, high emotions, fearful, dependent, depressed, stagnant, procrastinator. Not me. So this name stuff is a little bit more complicated because there's more numbers. And this is also why if you change the name you're called, you change the vibration of it, because like the name Amanda Lee, it has a vibration. And this is actually my legal first name. This is what they named me when I was young. But when I was born, they said, we'll name her Amanda Lee, but we'll call her Mandy. So I was called Mandy for the first, I think, 15 years of my life. Mandy has a much different vibration as a name than Amanda Lee does. I have actually changed what I've been called twice in my life. Called Mandy first, and then I was such a shy, quiet little wallflower who just didn't know how to interact with the world. And when I was about 15, I switched out of the school I've been into my whole life, and I switched into a new school, and I thought perfect time to change my name because I didn't want to be so shy anymore. So I used the other half of my name, and I was called Lee for another bunch of years. And it was about 6 years ago that on my personal growth journey that I decided, well, I'm just going to accept that I'm a bit of a weird person and I can see energies and communicate with angels and all this, like all of my talents and things. So I'm going to embrace the fullness of myself and start being called by my full name. Ideally in your name, there's more comments, 3s and 5. Awesome, Julia, catch the replay. You want to know what vibration is missing. And you also would want to do your full, your birth name, your legal name, and what people call you, because those will all have different vibrations. So like in my first name, I'm missing a lot of the numbers. Really, you want to have some of everything. Like I don't have any 8s, I have no 9s, I have nothing above a 5. But when I add all of my numbers together, I think I'm an 11. It's been a little while. So 1 plus 4 plus 1, 5. 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5. Yes, so my name turns into a 29, which ends up as an 11. Everybody's got that, right? Name numerology is much more in-depth than life path. Life path, it's really easy to Google what's life path 6, what's life path 5. Name numerology, you want to find a site that has the numbers 1 to 9 broken down into what they are, that resonates well with you, because everyone has their own kind of filters that they use and different things they say about them. They all kind of, like 1 is always leader type energy. 8 is always like finances and money and power kind of stuff. So go break down your name and see what's there and what's missing. I was recommended when I had an astrology reading before I got married, because I was just going to take my husband's name. Need some water. As my maiden name is Hat, and my married name is Sparks. But if I let go of the Hat, I lost every 8, the only 8 from the H. Most of the time in North America, particularly, we don't have a lot of names that have the 8 vibration, I believe it was, when I took that little bit of a numerology course. So H's are, or 8, you have to have an H, a Q, or a Z. Not a whole lot of names in Western European type of stuff have a Q or a Z. It's just not too bad. So this is something that can tell you a little bit more about yourself, is look what's missing from your vibration and then actively put that kind of stuff in your life. Does anybody have any questions? This is a really broad topic and you can go really deep, so I'm trying to keep it fairly easy. Nope, no comments. Okay, so another thing you can do is if you're looking at naming a business or naming a child or a dog, you can always write that name out and find the numerology of what that name turns into, because then you know the kind of base vibration essence that's coming out of that. I know some people get really, really into this and they won't even like live in a house that doesn't have the right numbers or the street and stuff. I don't go that crazy with it because it's something that's is a blueprint. Here's the energy patterns that will happen if you don't consciously create something different, right? So it's a tool for knowledge. Just check my notes, see if we missed anything. Have you ever known anyone who changed the name they were called by and seen a personality change in them? It's usually pretty common when people get married and they change their last name because it changes their vibration. Colette Baron Reed is a big example of this. When I used to listen to her on Hay House Radio years and years ago, she had a really tough time in her life until she got married and took on and hyphenated her last name. So she went from Colette, I don't remember what her name was, but because she's Canadian, we can do it either way. So when she added Baron Reed together on her name, her life like expanded and things changed for her, and it was just like the natural energy flow was different for her. So I hope that makes sense. I really wanted to give you the basis of cool things you could do and then send you out to the world to learn some more because it's really awesome. Chenille, can't wait to do her guess. Yeah. 1, 9. Wow, you have a lot of 9s, Carrie Ann. Yeah, so do your first name, and then also do your first and last name together. So, because my first name turns into an 11, and then with a hat. Come back to the window. So H is 8, A is again 1, and T is 2. And then if I put sparks, S is again 1, P is 7, A is 1, R is 9, K is 2, and S is 1. Yeah, so write out all your numbers and just look at what's missing. Because when I had my last 2 last names, there's my 8, and then I'm only missing a 6, which happens to be my life path number. So I kind of have a 6, but at the same time, I'm not embodying it in who I'm called. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, I'm only missing a 6 when I have my full name. Use both, and just to kind of see what it is. If you want to know the vibration of you right now, use your current legal name, but also check on your birth name, because they will likely be a little bit different. Because then you'll know what, because your birth name, your legal birth name, it's imprinted in you for kind of forever-ish, and it's easier to access those vibrations. But if you change your name, it might be a beneficial change, it might have been a not quite so beneficial change. If that makes sense, Rochelle. You're mostly looking to see what numbers are there, what numbers are missing. I know in our society we oftentimes shorten names, and then this can, if you switch and go by a longer name, which, well, it's a little more to say, increase vibrations. Yes, do your middle name as well when you're looking at it. So look at your first name, look at your first name, last name, and look at your middle name all together, because this will give you different numbers that are showing up. You want to definitely look at the full, you want to do them in different ways. So look at your first name, and if I was going by a different name, look at what you're being called. If you're being called a nickname, this is a vibration you're commonly responding to, which is strong in you. And then look at your full entire legal name and see what is there and what numbers are missing and what numbers you added together and get. So that's kind of the end of what I had for you guys on this topic. Next time, I'm going to talk about birth chart astrology. So much fun. And again, such an in-depth topic. But it's for that one, you need to know your date and time of birth, date, time, and place of birth. And astrology, numerology is, anyone can really do numerology because you don't need to know your time. Some people don't know your time of birth. So I hope you got a lot out of this. Let me know in the comments if you learned something, if you were surprised about something you've learned, either now or later. And yes, Travis and I call each other Babe. I haven't looked at Babe, but that's kind of interesting too. I use Babe and Honey with mine. So thank you so much for being here with me live, and I look forward to the next call with you. Bye.